Hey everybody, it's your girl Crystal Jordan right here on Reality Check with Rolling Out. Welcome to another conversation. You guys know I love talking about relationships, but today we're coming from a little bit different of a spin. I have multi-platinum artist in the building, Latruth. Welcome to Reality Check.
What's going on, man?
Thank you for hanging out. I see you blinged up here.
You're beautiful too, by the way.
Thank you. So we're going to talk about fatherhood, right? We're going to talk because you've been talking a little bit about that on social media and really sharing with people what you've been going through. And here on Reality Check, we talk about relationships a lot of times from the female's perspective. Do you think that we always see the full picture when it comes to parenting and parenting, co-parenting, and how it's done? Do you think that we get a good, realistic picture of that on social media?
I don't.
Okay.
Nah, I feel like, anybody who has had a real father, you know that it's a lot of structure
right
when you have a real father. Like, they're going to teach you so many different things. Whether it's a boy or a girl, you're going to get taught the right things about life. And we don't get to see that a lot. You know? And with my platform, I've shown that ever since my little girl was 3 years old. She's 15 now.
Wow. And
I posted videos of me cooking, showing her how to cook, singing to her. She's a singer and everything now, so a lot of people got to see her raised up on social media.
Right.
But it's a lot of guys who do want to post their kids, but they get shamed for it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think lately, especially over the last almost, I would say 5 to 7 years, you see a lot more men really showing that side, right? Yeah. It's almost like it's cool to be a father now, where maybe, earlier on, we didn't see that all the time. What do you think the biggest change is? We actually see men being more vocal about a lot of things, about what bothers them, what they don't like in relationships. Right. So what do you think is the cause of men being a lot more vocal and showing, a lot more about themselves than just, the rapper or just the provider, just the worker? We see men showing a lot more of what they feel, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, what they look forward to. What do you think that's due to?
For me, when I did it, it was just more to try to. I wanted it to look cool. I wanted fathers to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You get the views, you get all of that, but you're showing love to your children. Because in this world we live in now, it's a lot of negativity that goes viral. Yeah. I'd rather see a man showcasing how good of a father he is on the internet. And I feel like women are very vocal. They've been vocal on social media. So if they're being vocal and they paint a narrative, then men have to definitely start stepping up and being vocal as well. So people can see both sides.
We definitely are seeing more of that. You're right. Women have always been vocal, even before social media. Yeah. We were on blog sites. We were in book club. Women have always been vocal. What do you think one of the biggest things that women get wrong when it comes to this is a safe space, so you can be honest, right? What do you think is one of the biggest things that women don't understand when it comes to co-parenting? Once the relationship has, it's not going to work. Right. What is one of the things that sets us off in a bad direction as we start to co-parent?
I definitely feel like there's a lot of emotions involved if they can't maintain a relationship with the father of the child. Yeah. But we have to always understand it's about the best interest of the child, no matter what. No matter how that relationship ended, it's all about the child. The child didn't ask to be here. And children need to have their father and their mother. Yeah. Love from both. And it should be no tearing each other down. The father shouldn't talk bad about the mother shouldn't talk bad about the father. That image should always be perfect, and let the child decide for themselves on who their parents are.
Yeah, that's easy to say, but it's hard when the emotions are not necessarily black and white. So I want to ask you. I want to tell you a quick example. I remember when I was in college, I was dating a guy that had. We were both in college, and he told me that we had to break up because he had a girl pregnant, and he said, "I just learned that the child is mine." He went and had a blood test. It was a little boy. And he said, I'm going to go to therapy to help me deal with her because it was a really volatile, toxic relationship. And he said, but I need to be able to focus on that. And he did. He went to therapy and he was like, I have to learn how to interact with her for the sake of my son. And I always thought that was so admirable because I think that a lot of times the men aren't as emotional, with the breakup, or at least we don't see that side of them. Right. So it's hard to be rational and to make clear boundaries when you are hurt. What advice would you give to men when you realize the relationship isn't going to work, so that you can have more of a smooth landing, onto co-parenting, as opposed to both sides being really hurt and not really getting closure to the relationship before you start co-parenting?
I definitely feel like counseling and therapy is a great choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may not be enough as well, but, just whatever steps it takes to try to make that communication better.
Yeah. Yeah. What has been the response, since you've been talking about this? What response have you heard from men, and what response have you heard from women?
Just men need to be more vocal about it. A lot of times when we do try to be vocal, we get shamed for it. So it's just like, tell your truth regardless, and just speak it out there and try to teach everybody else that's going to go down the same road. Yeah.
Do you think that when men aren't, because a lot of times people assume if a man is not seeing his children, that's a choice that he's made. Do you think that men are, I guess, what do you think that reality is? Do you think that most men that aren't seeing their children is because they have chosen not to, or do you think a lot of times the woman is not allowing them to see their children?
I think the mother is not allowing them to see the children. They're making it difficult, And coming up, I used to think just the dude just ain't trying to be there.
Yeah.
And then, I've been a real father my entire life and always been there for my kids. So when I got put in that position, I was able to see it like on the outside, like, dang, okay, maybe it wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of them is just keeping them away from their kids. They're doing a lot of petty things. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got to talk about those petty things. Now, I know that, like I said, you've talked and been really open about your situation, but what do you hope to be able to help other men do? Because for you being vocal, it's probably encouraging a lot of other men to speak out, right? And a lot of times, just like you said a minute ago, if a man doesn't say anything, everybody assumes he doesn't care or he doesn't want to be there. So what advice would you give? If you could go back and give yourself advice before you got into the situation where you were co-parenting, what advice would you give yourself then?
Definitely keep a record of all of the toxic behavior, and, whether it's text, emails, whatever it is, and go to court, man. You got to fight for your kid. And when you go to court and you got the right evidence, it's possible for a man to win custody. Now, I actually had to do it years ago for my daughter when she was 9 years old, and I actually won custody. But my little girl at that time, she wanted to be around her mom, it was less structure and things like that. I always felt like a mother should have that responsibility or I can't teach her to be a woman.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I chose to let her go ahead and go back with her mom. But it's definitely can be done.
Yeah.
You can go out here and definitely fight for your child through the courts.
I think I've heard a lot of men say that they are, and black men don't necessarily want to go to court. Right? It's not his favorite. It's not a black man's favorite place to be. Let's talk a little bit about your experience. What was that experience like? Because when you're going to court over something that is as delicate as your child, what was that experience emotionally like for you?
I mean, it was an emotional experience to have to do that. I feel like you should be able to see your child, spend time with your child without the courts even being involved.
Yeah.
Even with child support, if you're the type of person who take care of your kid financially, why should the courts be involved?
Yeah.
So that's like the most difficult part, is just not being able to see eye to eye, put those emotions away and put the child first always. That's what I feel like it need to be. But if you're a good person, fathers, go out there and fight for your kid. Definitely fight for custody.
Did your daughter know what was going on when it was happening?
Yeah, I think she did. She definitely knew what it was at the time.
Has she said anything to you during that process to let you know that she was aware of what was happening between you and her mother?
She definitely didn't like the constant, back and forth. At the time, her mom was always talking bad about me. I was in a relationship at the time, married, and she was constantly talking bad about me and the woman that I was with. And that was very toxic.
Yeah.
And when she's around me, it's never like that, because I never have anything bad to say about any of my kids' moms around their kids or none of that. I don't do that. So
that is one of the biggest issues. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to talk about how do you integrate a new significant other in the picture? Because that's where a lot of times everything is fine until daddy gets a new woman. Right. Or on the other side, sometimes everything is fine until mommy gets a new significant other. And then, of course, there is the ever-present issue of child support. What's fair? What's not fair? When should I go look for getting more? What is for the child? What is for the mother? All of that. So we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. This is a snippet of I Hate You More. I guess we'll see who hates who the most. We'll be right back. This is Reality Check with Crystal Jordan.
Your pics can't lie, you looked happy. Last time I saw you, you said you hate me. Told you all those times that I was changing. I bet I hate you more than you hate me. Had my time, no surprise you didn't take me. Last time I saw you, you said you hate me. Told you all those times that I was changing. Promise I hate you more than you hate me right now.
All right, that was a snippet of I Hate You More. I'm sure that song was probably inspired by some real life situations, right?
Yeah, all my music is inspired by real life situations.
So how does that help you deal with it, or is it just for other people to kind of learn and grow?
It's definitely therapy for me.
Yeah.
But, I feel like a lot of people could relate to it. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, before the break, we were talking a little bit about one of the biggest things that affects relationships between co-parents is when one of those parents starts to move on, right? And that can be difficult on either side. We've seen Sierra and Future and how that played out when Sierra started dating Russell Wilson, and then, baby Future has on the jersey. That's rough. And then we've also seen it happen on the other side when, dad starts dating another woman and the woman is braiding the daughter. It's emotional from both sides.
Right.
What's your take on how to do that the right way?
I mean, you definitely just got to let it go, whatever it was before. It's a new relationship. And, as long as the person is not harming your child, it shouldn't be an issue. There's nothing wrong with a kid having two parents.
Yeah. Would you feel, so did you have to get prepared for that, to see your daughter with another father figure? Or did it bother you at all?
Nah, it didn't really bother me. It just depends on how people do things. It has to be respectfully, obviously. But not, because I understand if I'm going to leave a relationship, because any relationship I've ever left, it was me leaving the relationship. Or
Why are you leaving all the relationships, Latruth?
Stuff be toxic. Sometimes you just can't, certain behaviors, you can't. Health is wealth. That's all.
Health is wealth. That's true. But do you think? Let me ask you this, because I always want to ask men this, because a lot of times, we ask women to take accountability, right? A lot of times, we tell women, well, you saw this guy. Did he give you any inclination that he would be a good husband or provider? You try to bring somebody in to play a role that they weren't really meant to play. Do you think that you would do things different when you're picking women that would probably have a different result later? Or do you think that you were just kind of blindsided on all your past relationships?
I would say blindsided, or just not having the knowledge of knowing what to pick.
Okay, so what is that?
I lost my mother when I was 5 years old, so I think just that part of it alone, I wouldn't know how to choose because of that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what lessons, because this is good, I think, for other young men that are watching that, what lessons have you learned about picking a mate or picking a partner?
Definitely get to know them, you know what I'm saying? Know their family and everything, and you got to be with them through the ups and the downs. You got to have them, you got to be in certain situations to know how they will react to emotional situations as well, because when you emotional, you react totally different. Yeah. So it has to be somebody that can display self-control. Display
self-control. That's true. Let's talk about your situation, because I know we were talking during the break and you're like, when you did start dating another woman, that's when things kind of went crazy. Yeah. So what were some of the things that happened, and how would you, I guess, advise another man that's dealing with this? Because people are dealing with this situation. This is like something that's been around from the beginning of time and probably always will be, because people are going to get together, break up, and then the kids are in the middle. And then I can say from a woman's standpoint, if you haven't healed from that situation, it can be heartbreaking to have to heal and see him move on with your child. Because I will say this, if you look at the situation, it's like a man is excited about you, you have a child together, and then one day he decides, well, I want the child, but I no longer want you. And that can that can be a lot of rejection. It can be a mind, it can definitely, mess with your head. So what would you do differently to maybe make it a little different? Or do you think maybe even women can do something to prepare themselves for that transition when it happens?
I definitely would think the person would have to go heal first before any of that, getting into a new relationship. Yeah. And it's really no right way to do that, because like even with my situation, my little girl was, I'm gonna say 8 years old when I got into a new relationship. Okay. I hadn't touched my my child's mother, and since my daughter was maybe 3 years old.
Okay,
so
that's a good point, because a lot of times the guy is going back and forth,
right,
and that causes confusion.
Right.
Right.
So it's a big gap, 5 years, and then I move on with a new. We had a great relationship, with my child's mother. See my daughter anytime I wanted to.
Okay.
Taking care of finances there too. But when I got in a new relationship, it definitely got bad. Did she say to you that she did not want you to have your daughter? You didn't want your daughter around the new woman? She didn't say that, but see, my daughter at the time actually lived with her mom.
Okay.
So she wasn't really around except for maybe summers and stuff like that. And when I go see my little girl, I would actually travel to North Carolina, to another state. So she wasn't really around her like that. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I got in a new relationship, she started contacting my new girl and making up false stories saying I was with her. And
wow.
And she had to find out that I wasn't with her because I'm with her. So she's like, he with me last night, but nah.
So you're lying.
So, it's like, it was just kind of weird.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. So did you, these are the stories that we hear that men don't talk about. They just kind of shoulder through.
Don't say nothing.
And then they have this idea, my baby mama is crazy. That's what the myth of the crazy baby mama starts with stories like these. Mm-hmm. How were you guys able to resolve it, or was it through you going to court?
Going to court was about the best way to resolve it until, recently.
Yeah.
When I went through when I filed for my separation or whatever, the problem started back up then.
Wow.
So it was two people who were enemies the entire 6 years of marriage that became friends
buddies.
And joined forces together all on
against you.
To go against me.
I have heard that that's happened in the past where child's mother and an ex will get together and they now have something in common. I was the only
one going through that. Other guys go through that too.
No, I've heard it happen as well. Another thing, so another significant other, and then child support, right? Yeah. So we were talking earlier about how, men are starting to speak up and say, first of all, a lot of men are paying child support, and the child support is increased because of what they earn, right? And a lot of times the mother looks at it as an opportunity to make more money or to get more because of what he's able to earn. I do think that it would be difficult for a child to go from struggling in one household to having the luxury lifestyle over here. But I feel like there has to be some balance. From a man's perspective, what do you think the purpose of child support is, and how should that be delegated?
I mean, the purpose of child support is just to make sure your kid gets everything that they need.
Yeah.
Like I said, with school, clothes, food. If you're pitching in on a portion of the bills, that makes sense. But the type of father that I am, I try to get the full responsibility. Yeah. I say I want to raise my daughters, and you ain't even got to give me nothing.
Yeah.
That's just the type of person I am. But
usually guys don't go for child support. I've seen so many men, when they do get custody of their children, they don't go after the woman for child support.
And then, like I said, similar situations where you have other baby daddies, and you don't require anything from them. You target the one that works the hardest, the hustler, the
one that has the most money.
The one that has the most money. So, even with my first child's mother, she has five kids.
Does she have those? Did she have more children when you got with her?
She had one child when I met her, and after we had mine, she had 3 more after that.
Okay.
So,
did you take care of the first one?
I did.
That was hers? Mm-hmm. Okay. So once you all split up, did you feel like you still would do for that first one because you had a relationship? Yeah,
most definitely. Like Christmas and stuff like that, I would always still make sure. Because I'm the type of person that, the way I was raised, if I saw toys come in for other people and, I didn't get nothing, I felt bad. It hurt me.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, I don't want a kid to have to go through that. So I make sure I still support that child as well. Yeah. Even though it's not my obligation, it's just I want to make sure that they got something.
We saw that too play out on social media where the mother got mad because the father brought McDonald's for just his child. Yeah. And she was furious. And I felt like he shouldn't be obligated, but a lot of men actually stood up and said, I wouldn't bring McDonald's to the house for one child. So I thought that was, I'm not going to just bring one Happy Meal and he got 2 other brothers sitting there looking like, but I mean, I feel like as a woman, you kind of have to navigate that because is he required to do everything for the other children? Like, that's not really realistic.
It's not his requirement, but, I can understand the man that says they will buy everybody cheeseburgers and fries, It's not like Oprah, everybody gets a car.
Right. It's just a happy meal. Well, I want to, first of all, I want to just say, I think it's important. And I'm grateful that you're taking a moment away from music to talk about things that actually matter. Even though you address a lot in your music, I think that it's important for men to hear from other men and there to be a support system. I think this is a big part of mental health, right? Because I feel like a lot of men are told that they should just deal with this. They don't know how to deal with it, right? Just like you said, you thought you were the only person going through this. So being able to have a opportunity to talk about it is important. Yes. What have any men come to you and say they appreciate what you're doing on social media?
Most definitely. I get DMs all the time. And, I want to start a little outlet to give people a voice to be able to speak about these situations, because it's happening a lot. And we don't get that platform to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate you, and I'm glad to be able to offer an opportunity for men to talk. Let people know your social media and where they can find you if they want to find more from you on music, and then also everything else that you're doing. Yeah,
just search Latruth on all platforms. You'll find me, blue check verified. Robert Hampton on Facebook as well. I'm still working to get my 8.9 million follower Facebook page back. So.
Oh wow, you got to act.
If anybody know anybody that's got resources for that, contact me.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys got the resources. Reach out to Latruth. In the meantime, you got some amazing music. I did see some pictures of you next to Morris Chestnut on your page. So definitely check that out. But thank you so much for being here and for talking about something that's difficult to talk about, but sharing from your personal perspective. We look forward to hearing more, and come back when you get that platform set up, because we definitely want to support it.
I don't look like Tupac. I don't look like Morris Chestnut. I look like Latruth.
Look like Latruth.
That's it.
That's what's up. Well, this has been your girl here, Crystal, with Rolling Out. It's another edition of Reality Check, the Fatherhood edition. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.